Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. And as you can see, I was able to replace my kettle corn this week. Yay! I'm your host, Ken.
And I am your other host, Scott.
And we're here to, well, you know what we're here to do. We're going to talk about the Maryland game. We're going to preview the Wisconsin game, and hopefully it will be relatively short. And I don't know, probably won't be painless, but we'll do it anyway. So, yeah, 13-10, Nebraska loses yesterday. But on a positive note, Scott, I don't know if you saw what I posted on Twitter this morning when we got home from church. Your mom put roast beef, potatoes, and carrots in the oven before we left. And yeah, walking in the door after church, it was nice. It smelled incredibly good. And I ate way more than I should have. And it was comfort food because, after a day like yesterday, I needed some comfort food.
Mom's roast beef recipe is so good with the French onion soup mix and the the cream of I don't know if she ever does
mushroom soup.
cream of mushroom.
She actually put some gravy in it today because chances are when she worked for them last week doing a catered meal, they had some gravy left over, so she kept it back and used that as well in there with the cream of mushroom soup, the onion soup mix. Oh God, it was good, so good.
Yeah, I literally just take mom's recipe, and the only thing that I add to it is I just add like a bunch of rosemary, like fresh rosemary.
Ooh.
And it just adds a little something. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be yummy. And then last Tuesday, I hadn't told you this yet, but you knew I was in the putting contest at work. They do it every year. I did not know that it was the 40th annual Pepperoni Open. And it's named that because after we get done with the putt-off, we go upstairs, we eat pizza till we almost puke, and then we leave. So it's a pretty fun little event. There's no trophy involved. It's just bragging rights that versus the outside guys that work at the country club versus the people who work in the pro shop. And it's just a little scramble. Basically, first one to sink a putt, that team wins. So they flipped the coin. Our team won the toss, so we got to pick where to put the ball on the putting green and how far the putt would be. And we couldn't win one. Fifth hole, the pro shop actually won it. And then they were like, nah, let's go ahead and play another hole. God knows you guys can't sink a putt tonight. And 9 of us from outside service were putting. And wouldn't you know it, they had me anchor. And guess who sank that 25-footer? This guy right here. Yeah, it was really cool. So we were tied. So then it was like, well, we now have to do a putt off. So we just kind of set a ball fairly close to a hole in the first. They just alternated between the two teams, and whoever sank it first won. I missed by just a smidgen. I did what you've been doing all year by burning the edges. And then Mike, my instructor, was the one that actually sank the putt that won it. So the inside guys get to brag about it for a whole year. But
boo.
I get to tell all the outside guys who've been playing golf since they were knee-high to a grasshopper that they couldn't make a 25-footer, but the old fat guy could. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, all the pleasantries aside, dang it, we got to do this, don't we? We've actually got to talk about what happened yesterday.
Yep.
All right. I suppose we'll get to it. Hey, we got a comment. And Josh Bro, hey, looky there. We haven't seen him for a while. A friend of mine from, I believe, out east and moved somewhat closer. So, good question. Lead us from the depths. Who is QB1? If we're running this offense, Josh, I'd say QB1 for me would be somebody like a Tommy Armstrong, who's pretty good at throwing the ball, who's also really tough when it comes to running the ball. Of course, if we're going to go back to a straight up option offense, which I'm not sure Marcus Satterfield still knows exactly what that is. Of course, you'd go T. Frazier, or you'd go Eric Crouch or somebody like that. But in the modern style of football, I don't know what you think, Scott. Tommy Armstrong's kind of at the top of the list for me.
Joe Gans.
Joey, yeah. Not a bad idea because he can run a little.
He can run a little, but I think what our offense is capable of is pass efficiency. We have we have guys getting open left and right. We just don't have a quarterback to get it to them.
Get the ball to
and So, and that opens up the run game. And I think Joe Gans has the highest level football IQ of any quarterback we've seen this century. And so just with his decision making alone, I think we win basically every game this year besides Michigan. I just think no matter what you do in the Michigan game, they're just going to out talent us and out sign read us. So
This is true.
yeah. So I think if a Joe Gans were leading this squad right now, that would be for me. We would be 8-2, 9-1 right now. That's what I think.
Yeah, you take a couple of those turnovers away. You take a bad referee call or two away on some touchdown that was a touchdown for Nebraska in the Minnesota game, and the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown for Michigan State. And you could argue that right now we would be 7-2 or 7-3. But you got to be. Bottom line is you got to play football better than the refs ref it. End of story. You just have to. And except for the last two games when we've only had one damn penalty. And of course, it comes at the most crucial time possible yesterday at the end of the game. So, of course, that's just the way it happens for us. We can't seem to manufacture our own luck. Anyway, let's take a look at first and foremost. I put up a poll late last night. With NU's offense at 25 turnovers, which I revised that because somebody popped in the comments, said we had 27. I hadn't looked up the actual stat yet, so my bad. It was actually 27 turnovers so far in 2023 that Nebraska has lost. I'd set the over-under at 32.5, and I left it there, even though turnover margin is at 27 for the year. 54.8% said it's going to be over 32.5. I tend to agree with them. I voted over myself. So there you go. Out of 73 votes. Yoo-hoo. Can't wait.
Yeah, I would say over. If it's at 27 and we're trying to get to 32.5, I mean, the likelihood that we average 3 turnovers the next 2 games is very likely.
Yep. I hear you. Josh, we see that comment there. Thank you very much. Appreciate you weighing in. We will pop that up here on the screen as we go along. So anything that you see on the screen that we talk about and you want to pipe up, like on this one. You made me laugh when I watched this earlier, Scott. I just couldn't figure out how to pull the video off of Twitter, and I wasn't going to bug you to send it.
I could have just sent it to you.
But yeah, 5 stages of
Husker fan grief.
Oh Lord, I was laughing so hard.
I just had the song stuck in my head, and I was like, "This is like a perfect song," even though it's literally a song about racism. For whatever reason, it just matches so perfectly.
Matches perfectly with the video footage, and
it would be a Long Violent History by Tyler Childers.
I thought that sounded like his voice. I thought that's who it was. But
yes, it's happening again right in front of our eyes.
So sad and so melancholy song. It's like, yeah, I feel it. I so feel it. But anyway, there's your team stats. I can't read them from here. There we go. Nebraska was only behind him by 2 in first downs. Minnesota had 19, Nebraska 17. How the hell did we come up with 17 first downs? It seems like every time we were turning around, we were throwing an interception. So
penalties.
Total yardage indicates that Maryland would have won the game. I mean, you out-yard somebody by over 100 yards, you're generally winning the game, unless it's us. 283 passing and a paltry 86 for Nebraska on 10 completions out of 21 attempts. I think we got sacked like 3 or 4 times. I don't remember for sure. So I think there was probably 24, maybe 25 actual dropbacks to pass. 4 yards per pass for Nebraska, 7 for Maryland. And we all saw it. 4 interceptions spread across 3 different quarterbacks. 101 yards rushing for Maryland, which was surprising, but they got about half of that in their last drive. I think I counted up 40 yards is what they put together for their last drive, and they needed it, and they got it. So 183 for Nebraska, that should be the goal. Hit 150 to 200 yards in a game, and you should be winning, unless you can't get out of your own way by giving the other team the ball. And you're right, there were dudes running wide open all over the field yesterday, Scott. Problem was they were wearing white uniforms, and our quarterbacks seemed to target them more often than our own guys. So only one penalty for 15 yards for Nebraska, whereas there was 10 for 92 yards for Maryland. Your mom texted me a couple times yesterday, Scott, and said Maryland is literally trying to hand us this game. They're gift wrapping it for us, and it's like we're playing hot potato with it. And then you look at the standings today for the Big Ten West, and there's 5 teams at 3 and 4 for the record in the conference. 5 teams are tied for second place in the Big Ten West. It is literally the definition of a dumpster fire, and nobody wants to win it except apparently Iowa, who for some reason has managed to do it. So kudos to them, I suppose. But yeah, for once we were only -2 in the turnover margin. We actually got 3 of them from them, and we scored on 2 of those. In fact, all 10 of our points came directly off of turnovers in short field. And get this, we ran the ball most of the time. Whoa! You mean that works, Satterfield? I don't know if you figured that out yet, but we scored all of our points on turnovers. And that last 90-yard drive, too, that was mostly running plays, except toward the end when we decided that inside the 5-yard line, suddenly the running play wasn't going to work anymore. But I digress. And yes, I am firmly on the hashtag FireSat bandwagon, and you can't talk me out of getting off of it either. And we'll get to a slide later that shows why. And it's not just our team either. It's the fact that this is what this guy does. So we barely won the time of possession by about 3 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes. So there you go. Those are the stats. It's a paltry, disgusting, horrific performance. Defense did just enough to win, but the offense couldn't figure out how to get out of its own way. New movie, same script.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just like
Next slide.
This is what I expected. I mean, this is like looking at this. Yep, this is what I expected.
Yeah, to just stand there and laugh. You know,
it's like,
yep,
a lot. They're gonna have a lot of pass efficiency. They're gonna find a way to make their run game work because that's just what happens to us.
We get tired.
Yeah, and then the most egregious stat of all is like when you look at our average rushing yards per attempt and our average passing yards per attempt, if you are an offensive coordinator and you see that and your inclination is to keep passing the ball, you are you are missing a chromosome. You need to check yourself.
Well, he did say he was going to give Ramir Johnson more touches. He gave him a grand total of 7 more touches in this game than the last game. Maybe less.
Emmett. Yeah,
I
Emmett.
don't know. I mean, the dude was averaging 5.1 a carry. You don't not give that guy 20 to 25 if he's averaging 5.1 carry.
Yeah, especially when you're in the red. Especially when you have 5 yards to go. Why are we like? What are you doing? Take the 3. Just run the ball.
You're first and goal. You got 5 to go. You cram it right in the middle 3 times in a row if you have to. Maybe you get 3 yards out of it. Maybe you don't, but you've got 3 points in your back pocket. But, we're not quite to that point in the game yet. Just so infuriating. Yet at the same time, you sit and you go, no, I accept it because it's just what we've been. And I don't see when that changes, how that changes, unless the guy's head that's in the headset has a different name attached to it. But that's just me. Anyway, there's your game leaders. Of course, Talia Tagovailoa had a good game, not a phenomenal game, but he had a good game for him. Took advantage of where we were weakest, which is generally in our pass defense. We couldn't generate much of a pass rush unless we blitzed, and then there was always somebody underneath that was ready to grab that quick short throw because he knew exactly where to go with the ball once we blitzed. So it was kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't. 16 carries, 74 yards for the running back named Hemby. He got most of those in the fourth quarter. Excuse me, roast beef in that last drive. And then Jones was their leading wide receiver at 5 receptions for 86 yards. Don't even really need to look at Nebraska's leaders because there really wasn't one other than Emmett.
Yep.
Had the best game out of everybody. save Purdy for the entirety of that 90-yard drive until Marcus Satterfield had a ginormous big red brain fart and decided to say, yeah, let's make sure the third down quarterback attempts 2 passes inside the 5-yard line after we've already given away 3 interceptions. That makes perfect logical sense.
He's insane. He's literally insane, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
A different result. Yep.
Like, you are insane. You are incompetent. Never. Whatever. Move on.
Move on. Okay, so there's your game leaders. And if you see a comment pop up, Scott, along the way here that grabs your attention and you want to just throw it up there as we're talking, more than welcome to do so. Because I'm going to kind of focus on the slides for the most part, and got to have them kind of big on the screen because even though I have new eyes, I still need to be able to read them.
Nope. I'm always the only thing I look at are comments. That's the only tab I have open. So I'm always scouring it. Don't worry.
Cool. So we'll go through some key moments. There were moments that we all saw. This was in the first half. It's only one slide's worth, of course. The big one right out of the gate. Of course, you throw an interception on the first drive after they ran 10 plays and burned 5 minutes and 31 seconds off the clock. We were managing the clock, doing what needed to be done, and inexplicably, and I think it was on first down too that he threw that INT. But
let's fucking go, Nebraska. This is what we do. This is our identity. We suck. Let's go.
But we held them to no points in the first quarter, just like they held us to no points in the first quarter. So I guess there's that. Sims came in the game in the second quarter, leads a 12-play drive that takes almost 8 minutes off the clock, but stalls when a fourth down attempt loses 4 yards. Probably should have not tried to go for it on 4th and 2. Probably should have just let. Dang it, he kicked a 45-plus yard one into the wind in Memorial Stadium a few weeks ago against Purdue. Why the heck don't you give that young kid a shot at one with a little bit of wind in his face? Go in that direction. I just don't get it. The wind was from the side.
I didn't watch the press conference because at this point I'm just pure apathy. Was there an accountability made for that decision? Was that an exclusive
I don't remember if anybody asked
decision?
him about it. I don't remember if anybody asked him about it. I'll need to go back and watch the press conference.
Because I was all about going for that fourth down up until we called a 2-minute commercial break timeout. It's like, at that point, dude, the momentum is no longer in your corner. Just line up, kick it for 3. But whatever. Hindsight's always 20/20.
And of course, at that point, that's when Maryland got a little momentum. 2 big plays, one big play of 53 yards, and then another short
guy.
To one guy.
One guy.
Go right back to him and miss the tackle, and he skirts into the end zone. So Maryland's 7-0. And then, of course, after a 6-play drive after that, 45 yards worth of moving the ball. The problem is we can move the ball. Problem is we can't keep it. It's like hot potato. No, you grab it. No, you grab it. We'll let the other guy grab it. So Sims throws an INT after a 6-play drive. So if you can't hear the frustration in my voice, I'm doing my best to hide it. I can't. It's hard. It's difficult. I don't understand why quarterbacks in this offense can't figure out how to complete a pass to a guy in a red jersey. It just, is it design? Is it scheme? Is it, I just don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat, if we have anybody there who understands a little bit more about how offensive scheme and what Satterfield's trying to accomplish, can give us some insight as to why our quarterbacks can't find a guy, but the other team, they can find him with no problem. So starting in the second half, Nebraska goes 3-and-out right out of the gate. Of course, that would be the way it goes. And then this is when things started to look like maybe some things were figuring out. Maryland fumbles. Nebraska scores on 6 straight running plays later, tied it up at 7-7. To me, that's important. You just scored. You ran the ball 6 straight times, and it worked. Why the hell do you have to go away from it? I just don't get it. Until they stop it, keep doing it. Then
that was probably just put in the wrong section there.
Yep, it could be.
Disregard that third point.
Yeah,
that was in the first half.
Forgot to delete that. See, that's what I do for cutting and pasting or copy pasting. I seem to miss a bullet point once in a while. Anyway, Buda Wright gets that interception on Maryland's very next drive, sets NU up on Maryland's 31. 6 plays later, Only 2 of them were runs and only 11 total yards. Imagine that. And Albano has to hit a 38-yard field goal, which does give us a lead 10-7. We stopped them on a 4th and 1 with 46 seconds left in the third quarter. Seems like things are going our way. Well, Ben Sims fumbled us on the next drive. Black Shirts hold them to a field goal, so now it's tied 10-10. Sims throws an interception on the very next play. Satterfield, you scored on a drive with all freaking runs, and you call a first down pass play on a guy that's turned it over on you twice already. What are you thinking? Well, like Scott said, you're not, apparently. This is therapy. We're having therapy, folks. Maryland then goes on a 6-play, 46-yard drive. They fumble at Nebraska's 3. So we're getting down toward the end of the fourth quarter. Nebraska gets the ball. Purdy comes in. What else is Satterfield going to do at this point, right? You got to throw the third stringer in there. And he just manages to lead a 90-yard drive, mostly running plays, burning 6 minutes, 15 seconds off the clock. There's just over 3 minutes left in the game. And we go right back to the well. First and goal on the 5, we throw a pass play. Incomplete. Johnson loses 2 yards to the 7 on second down. So instead of running again and burning off some clock, you could have got it damn near under 2 minutes to go in the game if you'd have just ran the ball one more time. Either force them to take a timeout or run that time off the clock, and he just calls another passing play. Third string at QB, which, of course, gets intercepted. Because, hey, interceptions for everybody. Whoever comes into the game, you get a free interception, quarterback, because Sat's going to call one for you. So we forced 2 incompletions, and then Tommy Hill is flagged for pass interference. Nebraska's first penalty since the Purdue game, and of course it comes at the worst possible time. Maryland drives down to the Nebraska 6 and does what we should have done before the interception, kicks the game-winning field goal as time expires. So that leads to this. Are the Huskers cursed? Nebraska turnover curse. Most turnovers in the FBS since 2020 in 2023. Most turnovers in FBS since 2004, and the worst turnover margin in the Power 5 since 2004. Double the second worst team. I haven't dug too deeply on those numbers, but Brett Ciancia is about as thorough in the stuff that he does, previewing college football and analyzing college football. So I trust his numbers are true, that we are double the second worst team in turnover margin since 2004.
Yep, it's now 116. It'd be 116 because it was 111 last week. We were negative 111, and now we're negative 116. And I believe there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but the next best next worst Power 5 team was at 56 last week. So who knows what they did? I don't know who it was. But I mean, seriously, it's like, I don't remember if I said this last week. I don't think so, but I've always felt like, as a Husker fan, that we disproportionately give the ball away over, and it always felt like that, but there wasn't it was always just kind of like, oh, I'm just biased, we just have, bad games or whatever. But, other teams got to be having games like we do, even though every game I watch on TV is rarely plagued with turnovers. And it's like, no, yeah, we just suck. We it's not like systemically Nebraska's just turnover prone. It's that for one reason or another, whoever coach we hire is just a hire that's going to generate turnovers for us. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a Freudian thing where it's like we just so happen to just lean in the same direction we always do anyway. I don't know. But Nebraska is, in fact, cursed. It's objective. It's scientific now. There's no, you can't look at this and see any other thing other than that there's some voodoo shit going on in the Haymarket with like the blood of witches being sacrificed in the underground walkways with babies and stuff that are shaped like Little Red. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's awful. It's awful. It's awful. And
it's the living hell we're living in, for sure.
Anyway,
anyway, you've got some players of the game that you picked, so why don't you go ahead and talk about them?
Yeah, so on Maryland's side, I've got Ty Felton. Only reason, yes, he wasn't the leading stat producer on the wide receiver crew, but I mean, if he doesn't get open twice in a row, I mean, Maryland really wasn't doing much in the scoring game. I mean, they would have 2 field goals. That's it. Ty Felton got open back-to-back against Malcolm Hartzog, and Malcolm really dropped the ball on that 2 times in a row. So he gets that one really crucial touchdown that Maryland needed to kind of separate themselves from us at the beginning, and we could never hold on to our catch up. Like, we caught up to them, but we just couldn't hold on to it. And then their cornerback, Terhib Still, he had 2 INTs. He was the leading tackler on top of that. So at leading tackles at 7, I think that's with 2 INTs. I mean, what else can you ask from a guy?
Right.
So I've got him as their defensive player of the game. And then on Nebraska, I mean, you really have no option on the offense to pick anybody other than Emmett Johnson. We kind of alluded to that earlier. Yeah, basically a 5-yard average per rush with a 49-yard long. He could have picked off even more of those, because Satterfield doesn't seem to understand the concept that just because you don't gain yards every single rush means that you give up on it, because that's such a common thing. It's like we get gain. He does 2 things at once. We'll get a really good pattern going in the run game, and then he gets all cute and decides, they won't expect us to pass it now. And then the same on the other side, where we're doing okay in the running game, then we have 1 negative play, and then he just goes pass, and you're like, dude, seriously, if we could just hire a 13-year-old that plays NCAA football and just have him up in the press box and just give him like a game where it's almost like, what is it? Ender's Game. Don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie, but Ender's Game. It's just basically the same concept. You get a 13-year-old who is our offensive coordinator, and he has his Kirk Herbstreit picks, whatever it is, Lee Corso picks. I don't remember what it was in it, where it's just like, here's the suggested play. You could just have a 13-year-old kid pressing A on the suggested play, and we're probably going to win a game, because that's a way more competent. That's a way more competent offensive coordinator right there. So anyway, Emmett Johnson is the offensive player of the game, and then middle linebacker Javen Wright, number 33. He really spread his wings, really showed up in the game. I mean, he was all over the damn place. He caused a forced fumble, interception, 3 solo tackles. I mean, dude was a beast.
All over. Yeah.
He looked good. So I got to give him credit for that. Mad props there, Javen. Way to go. Keep it up.
And then you had cornerback Tarheeb Still for Maryland. I don't know if you'd mentioned him earlier before you switched to Nebraska. Okay, I couldn't.
I did.
See, I tell old. What can I say? Brain doesn't work. My brain's still cold from yesterday, probably.
Yep.
So that pretty much wraps up our Maryland review.
So fun.
Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, that game's gone now. It's all good. Now we can get right against Wisconsin, who just got beat at home by Northwestern. So great. They're going to be pissed off. Did you see I saw it on Twitter last night. One of their linebackers, I think, went off on a rant for a while about how
4 minutes.
Wisconsin's been playing soft and they don't want to be there and this, that, and the other. And then Fickle said something to the effect of, we're going to find out who wants to be here this week. I'm like, God, I remember Rule saying that back a few weeks ago after losing to Michigan. So who knows? That should be an interesting game because it's 2 teams that are 5-5. I don't know. We'll have to see. So there you go. Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin, Nebraska at Madison, November 18th, 6:30 p.m. Central on NBC. We're going to be the Big Ten football, Big Ten Saturday night, or whatever that stupid song is that one band sings. It's a cool song, but great. We get to get our butts look stupid on national TV. Woohoo!
Yep.
Can't wait. Um, I'm so negative today. I feel bad. I don't want to be, but I
Well, what
can't
is
help
there?
it.
What
And
is there to be positive about? We've
it's
seen no
nothing
tangible
against.
change.
It's really nothing against the players. I
Yeah, the
just don't.
players are doing their best.
The defense deserves better. The defense deserves an offense. I texted or I saved it or shared it. I don't think I threw it up on the slideshow, but somebody had made a Captain Bug Eater, I think it was on Twitter, said something to the effect of this team deserves to go, the black shirts deserve to go to a bowl game. And the offense gets to load all their bags on the truck and on the plane, and then they get to go home while the black shirts get to go to a bowl game.
I mean,
I'm like,
you could
yeah,
just say fuck it, start the defense on the offense, and I'm sure it would be a much more visually pleasing product.
I have no doubt there's dudes on that defense that have played some running back and some quarterback back in the day
Yep.
when they were in high school. So it's not like they
Yep.
can't do it. But I sure as hell wouldn't send Satterfield with them.
No, 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 no. You send the youngest wide receivers coach.
Yep.
I'm forgetting his name
Garrett
right now.
McGuire.
Yeah, yeah. You make him our OC. Fuck it. Why not?
Yep. I hear you. Oh my goodness. So there you go. There's your stat rankings between the two teams. They're pretty similar. They really are. I don't see a ginormous advantage for either team in anything necessarily looking at other than turnovers and turnover margin. I didn't look deeply enough into the numbers to see what the turnover margin or when Wisconsin gets turnovers, how often do they convert those turnovers into points?
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know that information. So, but yeah, other than the fact that we have gained or lost more turnovers than they have over and above our opponents at 1.4 per game. I think is our negative 1.4 per game is our turnover margin every game. Not going to win a lot doing that. It's a miracle we're 5-5. Other than the fact that defense is probably good enough. If we had any kind of an offense, a 2009 offense for crying out loud, we should be winning 9 games this year. So with that defense. But yeah, you look at the numbers. I mean, they're 6th in the Big Ten in total offense at 372 yards a game, which is 76th in the country. Nebraska is 10th in the Big Ten at 312 yards per game, 112th in the NCAA. So there's a little bit of an advantage for Wisconsin, and they're pretty damn balanced too. They've got pretty much about 1,600 yards rushing and about the same amount in passing as well. So they're pretty balanced. They're 4th in the Big Ten and at 43.78% conversion rate on third down, which is 32nd in the country. Nebraska's 8th at 36.59%, not ampersand, but percent, and 87th in the NCAA. Total defense, Wisconsin's 8th. Nebraska is 6th in the Big Ten. Whereas in the NCAA, Wisconsin's 34th, Nebraska's 17th. So maybe you have a little bit defensive advantage, which is a flip-flop. Generally, Wisconsin's defense has always been better than ours since we've been in the Big Ten. So maybe we got a shot at making some stuff happen, and a pick 6 or 2 would be nice. Third down, they're 10th in the Big Ten at stopping people on third down, whereas Nebraska is 7th, which equals to 79th in the country as well, and 44th in the country for Nebraska. Turnover margin is the big one. They're 9th in the Big Ten at -2, so they haven't been really good at holding on to the football either, but they have taken it away enough to keep it at -2, whereas we're not taking it away enough to overcome our turnover margin, which is now -14 for the year, which is 14th, of course, in the Big Ten, and then next to last in the country at 132nd. So there you go. That's the stat comparison. You look at those. I know your keys to victory are generally the same as mine. They're not necessarily reflected in those stats, but if there was a place Nebraska wanted to focus their offensive attack, wait a minute, finger quotes, offensive attack on against Wisconsin, what would it be?
What do you mean?
Do you think they need to do you think they'd have a better shot, their offense, against Wisconsin's defense than Wisconsin does against our defense? I don't know. I don't know what I mean. I'm just coming
Okay,
off the
if it's
shit
that
we talked
way,
about.
yeah, I think Wisconsin has a way better chance against our defense than we
Yeah.
have against theirs, because it doesn't matter what defense we play against, we'll find ways to look bad.
Yeah.
And when it comes to our defense, I mean, we have holes in our defense everywhere. We're not a great defense. We're a decent defense. I mean, we've played really bad offenses. I mean,
Yep.
that's evident that somehow, some
Yep.
way, our offense is 10th in the
Mhm.
Big Ten. That means there's 4 teams that are worse than us offensively.
Yeah.
What?
One of them being
So
Iowa.
and so it's like, and then you just look at the turnover margin. I mean, there's no way you can walk your way into saying we win this game. I mean, at this point, the writing is on the wall. It's
Yeah.
like we don't win another game this year. If by a miracle we don't win another game because we win a game. We win a game because somehow, some way,
Somebody else figures out how to lose one instead of us.
yes, because that's basically our 3-win streak that we got, was
Mhm.
that they found ways to lose against us more than we could find ways to win against them. Like, in retrospect, looking back at it, that's why those wins never felt right. That's why those wins felt like, okay, yeah, cool, but like, did it look good on paper or by
Mhm.
the eye test? No. And it's like, and then you rewatch those highlights and you go, yeah, those opponents just laid an absolute egg for us and they gifted us a win. And I don't think of Wisconsin with Luke Fickell at the helm, and I don't think that Kurt Ferentz, I don't think that they coached themselves out of winning a game. It's just
Nope.
not possible.
Nope.
So yeah, if you compare the offenses, who's going to do better against which defense? It's like, of course, Wisconsin is going to do better against our defense. 100%, 100% chance of that.
Very
99%
possible.
chance. I don't want to be certain.
So you wanted to know what the other 4 teams are that are below us in offense. At number 11 is Rutgers. At number 12 is Michigan State. At number 13 is Northwestern. At number 14 is Iowa.
Cool. So 2 of those teams we've played, and we're going to play one more at the end of the year.
We're going to play one more, and they've got an all-world defense. So yay. Can't wait to see that 3-2 slugfest. So there we go. Let's get to our keys to victory. If Nebraska's going to win, I just put on there, I'm not going to mention limiting turnovers because they're just not. That's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It's who this team is, especially at the quarterback position. But there have been 0 turnovers by our running backs in recent weeks. So I say, Satterfield, come up with a game plan that minimizes the turnovers by running the football. I think we win if we run the ball for more than 200 yards, because that'll be controlling the daylights out of the clock if we get up to 200 yards. So that's mine.
I think that's a good point. We got to do. Was it Purdue last year that they ran like 300 yards of rushing when we were not expecting it? I mean, we were expecting it, but I remember there was a game where it was like, yeah, they're really, really bad at running the ball. The opponent we're about to play, and then they play us, and then it's like, well, as long as they don't realize that we suck at stopping the run, we should be good, which of course they do.
Crazy Legs Maccabee ate our lunch that night.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, if we can figure out if Rule can just sit down and be like, just sit down, you are not allowed to call a passing play unless I approve of it. That's his CEO mentality you should make, which leads into my key to victory, which is run exclusively. No passing unless you have to make a 4th down attempt. I don't care if we go 3 and out 60% of the game, as long as we don't turn the fucking ball over 60% of the game.
Yeah.
I don't care. Play safe. If we have to win a game by kicking 4 field goals and never seeing the end zone once, fucking do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'd rather see ugly victories because we make competent decisions. There's a reason why Iowa is 8-2 right now with the shittiest offense on planet Earth. It's because they know they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They know their weaknesses on offense,
It's
so they
like
don't force
complimentary
things.
football. Yep.
They don't force things that they know they can't do. They don't have a JJ McCarthy. They don't have a Heisman wide receiver out there. They don't have they just don't have what they wish they had. And Satterfield has this pie in the sky imaginary idea of what his offense should be. And it's like, no, you don't have that, dude. Play with your cards that you've been dealt. Run the fucking ball. That's it. You're not allowed to pass anymore. You've revoked that right. You no longer have a right to do it. And if I watch this game and I start seeing us playing cutesy passing, I'm just not going to watch the game.
Yeah,
they don't deserve my viewership. At this point, it's my protest. Oh yeah, of course it's a silent, basically useless protest. I'm just one person, but it's like, I just am going to refuse to watch this anymore because why watch it? It's like, I'm insane watching it. I'm expecting something different. No, I'm not going to expect anything different.
For reference, just to support what you're saying, Scott, Wisconsin is ranked 9th in the conference in rush defense at giving up a total of 1,334 yards at 133.4 yards per game that they give up. So running will be probably a little bit tough because they'll be expecting it, but at the same time, you make them stand out there on that field 6 to 7 minutes per quarter defending the run, even if it doesn't get you much for 2.5 quarters, it should pay off at the end. And then if you contrast that with their passing defense, they are 7th in the conference at giving up passing yards, a total of 198 yards a game.
Yeah,
so
you
there's
can't
no
pass
real
on
need
that.
to throw. You're not going to pass on them very much. So in fact, what's weird is I think Heinrich Harburg's best passing game was against Michigan, but that was probably because their backups on defense were in by midway through the second quarter.
Yeah.
So that helped a little. But anyway.
I know I sound heated. It's because I am.
Yeah.
But at this point,
painful.
it's like Nebraska's going 5-7 if we keep doing this. It's not going to work. It might have worked in the past 2 games against a Maryland or a Michigan State, maybe. But you're not going to do. I don't care if Wisconsin isn't the same Wisconsin that they've been. They're still the same guys. They know how to beat Nebraska. Nebraska's the poster child for just abuse. We are the ugly orphan of the Big Ten right now. And so every team that plays Nebraska knows that we're going to give them every opportunity to win.
They just sit and wait it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our keys to victory. I've got some guys to look out for on the football field on Saturday, and it sounds like a broken record as far as Nebraska is concerned. I wanted to just write down, just to be cute, whoever starts at quarterback, but nah, I'll be watching to see what they do with Emmett Johnson. Not necessarily a player to watch, but for me, it's more or less a player to watch to see how Sat actually decides to use him. Is he going to give him 20, 22, 25 carries? I know he's smaller. Man, he wiggles a lot like he reminds me a little bit of, he's got some Amir in him, and he's dang sure got some Corey Ross in him too. Just his lateral movement's incredibly quick. He's got six carries, 334 yards on the year. He's 3rd leading rusher on the team, but he's averaging 5.1 yards a carry with a long of 29 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that boy needs to be fed a lot on Saturday. And then, of course, Isaac Gifford, still the leading tackler on the team at 67, 33 of those being solo. I just love that. I love that it's even between solo tackles and assisted tackles. That means that son of a gun is always around the ball. Always. He's got a half a sack still, 7 passes defended, and 1 interception. So, but the guys to watch for on Wisconsin, their leading receiver is wide receiver Will Pauling at 56 receptions, 596 yards per 10.6 yards average. He has a long reception of 33 yards, and he's hauled in 3 touchdowns. Not eye-popping numbers, but he's been consistent. And if you're averaging 10 yards a reception, you're definitely helping your team move the chains. And then I've got cornerback Ricardo Hallman on defense. He's got some stats, folks. He's made a difference on that defense. 27 tackles, 15 of them solos. No sacks, no tackles for loss, but it's those 5 INTs that scare me. 5 interceptions on the year, 5 passes he has defended or knocked down. Return yards, a total of 142, including a 95-yard return for a touchdown. So, yeah, we want to stay away from his side of the field. Run exclusively. I think Scott had the right idea. Just run. Please, just run. Maybe run at that guy because it doesn't look like he likes to tackle. I think he's like 15th or 20th on the list in total tackles for the team. So I might be exaggerating too. But anyway, bold predictions.
My bold prediction is Nebraska somehow manages to only turn the ball over twice. Because if we do run the ball exclusively, that means there's going to be options, and that means that our quarterback incompetency will find a way to drop
the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or maybe Emmett, it's like if you're running the ball 90 times a game, you're probably going to drop it one of those times. Because at that point, the defense is used to it. They know how to punch balls. I mean, our guys have clearly not been coached very well, very proficiently to hold on to the ball correctly. We saw it all game. But, I mean, if we only manage 2 turnovers in this game, I mean, that's
pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Good for you guys. Oh,
kudos.
brother.
Game ball to the guy who doesn't fumble. Mine is that Emmett Johnson finally gets enough carries to get up over 100 yards and scores 2 touchdowns. Not saying both of them will be on the ground. Maybe a swing pass happens somewhere and he busts through the line or whatever and takes it to the house for 30 or 40 yards out. I don't know, but I think EJ gets over 100 and he gets 2 touches. So 2 titties.
2 TDs. Show me your TDs.
Yes. So, all right. Score predictions, I think, are next. And unfortunately, I'm right there with you, Scott. I don't think we win this. I don't think Satterfield is going to commit enough to the run. While I do predict that EJ will get 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns, even though I've got 10 for the score, I think one of them probably gets called back for holding. So there's my escape clause. 14-10 Wisconsin. I think they get enough turnovers and they turn it into points when it matters most at the end of the game.
Sounds about right. I've got Wisconsin winning 12-10, meaning that they only score field goals. They never see the end zone. That's going to be our defensive stance for the game.
Cool. Another moral victory.
Yeah. Nebraska gets 1 touchdown, and it's going to be in the most. This is what I predict. Nebraska goes down the field, run, touchdown. And then we never see that pattern ever again.
Yep.
That's like Satterfield gets what he does. This is what he does.
Yep.
He sees something that works, and then he tries to mix it up, tries to shuffle it up, tries to get spicy, when in all reality, he's just inserting hot sauce into his urethra. Like, that's how he's trying to spice it up. And yeah.
Now that's a visual I need to really work hard to get out of my head. And I don't drink anymore, so that's not gonna be real easy. So thanks.
Yep. Satterfield is he's something. So yeah, and then we go down, we kick a field goal at some point, and then we are in the red zone or like on their side of the field multiple times, and we throw interceptions like we did this last game and the game before and all the other games and everything. So Nebraska loses in heartbreak fashion. I think we're not leading at any point in the game. I think it's 12-7 or 12-3.
Right there the whole time type of situation. Yeah.
Moonbot, you came in at a weird time.
This has been a weird show, buddy. Been a weird show, buddy. You might want to rewind, go back, watch from the beginning if you feel like dealing with 2 extremely pissed off podcasters. So we didn't scream or yell much, but Scott has been using his favorite modifier that sounds a lot like truck. So I appreciate that. Yeah. He says, I can't wait to go back. Good for you, bot. Good for you. You're a
I'm
glutton for
assuming,
punishment.
Bot, I'm assuming you are on the fire Satterfield train, right? I would assume you are because you are a very logical guy. Um,
Yep.
so, yeah, that's basically there's a way that I find a way to bash on Satterfield the whole episode. So,
Pretty much. Yep. This has
anyway,
been the Fire Sat edition of the Gen Red podcast for certain. So this is really not three tweeted because nobody used the three tweeted thing. And I also, you know what I didn't do, Scott? I did not send out a tweet. Hey, if you want to get in on three tweet about it, sounds like I'm a school teacher standing at the front of the class and writing shit down on a chalkboard that nobody's going to pay attention to. So I decided not to do it. I thought, screw it, I'll do the segment anyway because there was some good tweets, some fun stuff. But if you do want to win free jerky, and damn it, I don't care if you've won it before already. If you happen to be watching this or listening to this later on down the line, all you have to do is this: create a college football related hot take tweet, tag at GenRedPod or at ScottGenRedPod in the tweet. Also add the hashtag 3tweeted, and then post your tweet before noon on the Sunday following a Husker game. And if we use it on the show, you get a free bag of pipeline jerky. And if you don't do this, see, here's the deal, folks. I'm not saving the jerky. If y'all don't participate, then each week Scott and I got 3 free bags of jerky we can eat. So I owe you a couple, Scott. Anyway, so here's the tweets I picked. This was one of the best ones. I saw it late last night. Satterfield as an offensive coordinator, 2021 at South Carolina, 23 turnovers lost, ranked 116th in the country, 12 fumbles, 11 interceptions. 2022 South Carolina, again, 23 turnovers lost, 116th again in the country, 13 of them being fumbles. And improved it by 1 interception up to 10. Woohoo! Give that man a raise. Well, we did. We gave him $1.4 million to come to Nebraska and promptly become the worst team in the country, 2023 NU, through 10 games, 22 turnovers lost, which actuality is now 27. So this was a fairly old stat he pulled out, and that would be 13 fumbles now and what, 16 interceptions or 14 interceptions. So
Satterfield's really outdoing himself. He's really proven his ability.
He's definitely reached for the stars for certain.
Yeah.
You know, I'm willing to throw a little bit of grace because he was handed kind of a crap sandwich by not realizing that, you know, 7 of his guys on offense that started the year probably weren't going to finish the year. But still, you've got to figure out how to coordinate things in such a way where you don't maximize your exposure to turning the football over. So running backs seem to have it figured out. It's quarterbacks that need some work, and I'll be damned if Satterfield isn't the quarterback coach too. Anyway, I don't know if that's related at all. Maybe not. So 2 of our favorite Husker podcasts tweeted these similar numbers out. Husker Cuzcast, but Huskers quarterbacks today, 10 completions, 4 interceptions, 1 fumble. And then the Big Red Cast threw out the 5-4-3-2-1. 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, 3 quarterbacks throwing them, 2 red zone interceptions, and 1 score loss.
And a partridge in a pear tree. We're getting ready for Christmas, boys.
Yeah, I know. There's Christmas trees up in my house already.
You have the number 1 tweet, right? And that's going to be from Corn Crazed, I hope.
You know what? I didn't throw that one in here because I couldn't figure out how to get the video without going through the whole live stream on YouTube, and I just didn't want to.
Well, before we get to number 1, I will quote him because it's great. He's like, you want to know why Nebraska wears red and white? It's because they're Santa Claus just gifting the ball to the other team. Like, I'm paraphrasing, of course. He used more explicitives, but like I've already used enough. But yeah, so this is
he was pissed. It was as pissed as I've ever heard him on his microphone.
Oh, he was
holy
mad.
Shit, he was flaming. It was so funny. I was laughing. Can't do anything but laugh, right? So the last one is this one. Husk guys dropped this one this morning, and I appreciated the lightheartedness in it. We have to get started by being more strategic with our turnovers. We're guaranteed to have 4 per game, so why don't we just do them already? really quick in the first quarter. I thought that made sense, so I retweeted it and added, that way we can get them all out of the way before our defense gets tired.
Yes.
So anyway, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Husker Army says Sat will get at least one more year, and I agree with that.
Oh, he will. I'm just not on that train.
Yeah, I think Rule is gonna hold true to his developmental mindset that it's like, well, Sat's got to develop too, like whatever. I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you're not gonna change this person. You're not gonna fix him. This is a toxic relationship. You need to break up with him now. He's gonna drag you down. He's gonna abuse you. It's not gonna be fun. Like, yeah, there might be some fun and exciting times, but those are going to be quickly overshadowed by getting your black eyes every weekend for not doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
But no. I think we see him. I think we see him next year, but there is going to be somebody behind him being groomed, and he will get fired at a certain point in the season if he doesn't straighten up and fly right. That's what I see happening. Kind of like what Trev Alberts did with Frost, his last year was like
gives him one more year. Yeah.
Gives him one more year. He has a contingency plan of I'm going to fire you and I'm going to replace you with Mickey Joseph. And when the defensive coordinator needed to get fired, he was replaced with
Bill Bush.
Bill Bush. But so that's what I see happening next year, which I know it's going to piss off a lot of people. But,
when it comes to offense, there's an offensive coordinator out there who needs a job. I won't say his name because the NBNR podcast, they always bleep out his last name, and I'm afraid they'll do that to me in post. So I won't say his name, but there is an offensive coordinator out there that knows how to run an offense. He just can't run a football team for crap.
Yeah, and he needs to figure out how to run his personal life other than into the ground through alcoholism.
Yeah, exactly. I think Army's right. I think that seat of his will be a little warm going into next season, at least Satterfield's anyway. I didn't say it, Brian. I implied it, but I did not say it. So for those of you listening, I was referring to our former head coach, Scott Bleep, and Army's pleading with me.
We could hire Brian Ferentz.
Hey, there you go. He's going to be looking for a job.
At least we won't turn the ball over. We just won't do anything.
This is true.
Period.
We just won't score at all. Period.
Yeah.
So anyway, oh, this has been. You know what? We've almost made it an hour. I didn't think we'd get that far. I thought we'd just complain for about 45 minutes and call it a day. But here we are.
Felt like that too.
It felt
but I just needed to let it out.
I got a lot off my chest. I'm fine. I'm fully prepared to sit and watch another one of these next week, and who knows, maybe we'll find a way to flip-flop the score I predicted and say 14-10 Nebraska. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, for now, we'll call that a show. We'll call that a preview and a recap and all that good stuff. And Brian, I'll just mention, if you're still watching, just so you know, next time you're in the studio, if it bothers you to hear your own voice in your headphones while we're doing a show together in the studio, I have figured out a way to turn off your voice in the headphones and still be able to hear everybody else's voice. Because I've been doing that myself today. It's been actually pretty cool to not hear my voice in my ears. So next live stream is Sunday, November 19th. That's next week, 3:30 p.m. Central. Watch it right here on YouTube. You can watch it on Facebook, on our Facebook page, as well as on Twitter. But it's YouTube and Facebook where you can actually interact with us live during the show, like Husker Army and like Moonbot and Josh Bro have done. If you want to talk and add some comments, we'll always talk about them if they pertain to what we're saying, of course. And so where can folks find you, Scott? You've been a little more active lately, and it'll be worth it to get out there on his Twitter and find that video of the screenshot I took earlier.
I got to post it on more socials, edit it where it can be like a YouTube short and an Instagram short. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at ScottGenRedPod. That is Scott with 2 T's. Second T is and will always remain silent. Unlike me today, I will not be silent anymore. I will speak up and speak out against this tyrannical
Offensive coordinator.
takeover that's holding us hostage in the gulag. Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter. There will be more interesting stuff to come there. So stand by.
All righty. And of course, you can follow the show and myself at GenRedPod on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Generation Red is the name of the audio podcast. The audio for this show will be available on your favorite app by tomorrow morning, fairly early. So just make sure you're subscribed. If you're an Apple Podcast listener who's watching and wondering why you haven't gotten our latest content, please unsubscribe because you're still subscribed to the old feed for some reason. I'm not sure why the transfer didn't happen once we moved to Herdad, but it's probably my end. I probably messed up one of the procedures. So I apologize to those of you who have not been getting, just make sure you just do a new search for Generation Red. You will find us. GenRedPod.com is our website where you'll find all the links to our YouTube, to our social media, as well as the videos of our old shows, and our audio shows are also available to listen to out there. And GenRedPod@gmail.com. Send us an email, give us comments, questions, or suggestions. We always appreciate your input on the show. Any other things you want to say, Scott? Any burning desires? All that good stuff.
No.
All right. Well, this has been fun, sort of. I'm Ken, he's Scott. Together, we are Generation Red, and we are here chronicling the Huskers' hopeful return to greatness someday, one podcast at a time, because there is no place like Nebraska.
And Iowa's corn sucks, believe it or not, worse than Marcus Satterfield's play calling ability. I know that might be arguable, but
well,
I still think it is objectively
I
worse.
quite frankly think I would rather eat an ear of Iowa's corn before I would watch another game coordinated by that man. But I'm stuck with him, so is what it is, right?
Fair.
Anyway, thanks again for watching, folks. Thanks to you who downloaded this podcast and have listened all the way to the end. We hope this therapy was as good for you as it was for us. We will see you next week, and go Big Red.